Good evening and welcome to this regular public meeting of the Henry County Board of Commissioners for 6 p.m. Tuesday, 6 p.m. Wednesday, July 25th, 2012. Before I would like to call the meeting to order, but before I ask for an acceptance of the agenda, there's one item I need to add, and we will do this actually first on the agenda, and this is the resolution as it pertains to the custodial position for the administration building that we've discussed earlier today. And so with that addition to our agenda, I'll look for a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Bowman. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Holder. All in favor? Motion carries 4-0. All right, this item is being presented this evening by Michael Harris, our Division Director, and this is the resolution concerning the custodial position to clean the administration building, and he's back with some figures that he should have handed to each of you prior to the meeting. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, board members. As a continuation from this morning regarding the discussion on the custodial services here at the administration building, as noted this morning, we are, at the end of this month, our current cleaning contract with the company we're utilizing will expire. They've opted to stop their contract. One reason being they felt as though they were likely losing some money on this building. So we've come up with a couple different options, presented those to the board members. One of the staff recommendations has been to actually hire on a day porter or custodial position to handle the cleaning services just for this building, for the administration building, and she would take care of the daily services of the common areas, bathroom, things of that nature. Obviously, we have a lot of our citizens that are utilizing this building throughout the course of the day. Talked about a couple different options this morning. The potential of having it either as a position with benefits or without benefits, and I provided you an attachment, a sheet, just kind of shows a couple different options for reflecting each. Right now, our current cost that we're paying from the cleaning company is roughly $39,000 per year. So again, the options presented, two of which are less than, and one of which is right about at slightly higher than. So at this point, it's kind of what we're asking for this evening is authorization from the board to actually create this new position. It would be a newly created position at this point. It doesn't currently exist, so we're asking for its authorization to just create this position and fund it based on the option that the board deems most appropriate.
When is the contract officially up with the company that
August
we have?
31st. It will conclude.
Okay.
Yeah, they sent us a letter asking out of their contract.
All right. Any board member have a question or comment or about this particular item? Mr. Bowman?
Are we currently looking, we were currently looking at part-time this morning. Are we looking at part-time this evening?
Well, a couple of options have been presented, either at part-time, see what the savings are would be from a part-time standpoint, and also presented a few options that show full-time status with and or without benefits. The challenge is right now she works full-time, and if to go to part-time, right now we're asking actually more of our employees to do pick up some of the slack as well, the dusting themselves, as opposed to things that were done by the cleaning company. So her duties would be fairly similar to what she's currently doing now, but certainly some of the county employees would be picking up some of the slack on, emptying her own garbage can, things of that nature. That was done by the cleaning company.
Does she currently have benefits with the company she's with?
She does not.
She does not. Okay.
No, ma'am.
How long is she with the county, Mike?
Well, she's never actually worked directly for the county. She's worked here at the county building for, I'd say well over at least 8 years, I'd imagine, 6-8 years, I'd imagine, with other cleaning companies. She's with the previous cleaning company for a number of years, and then when the contract changed, this latest cleaning company retained her and kept her as for the day porter.
And the reason why we're considering her is because she's done a great job over that period of time.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, she's trustworthy. She does a great job. She's very courteous, very, very conscientious about the work she does, and never had any complaints about her. Does a great job of keeping the building clean.
I was looking at the different options, and option 3 is well under what we were paying the cleaning company in terms of cost.
It is, and that's based on, part of that includes an estimate on the estimated cost of equipment and supplies. We'd be supplying those supplies now. While we think that may be a little bit more of a conservative estimate, but we think that's, close to accurate, and even with that, that would still be under the current rate
Okay.
that we're paying.
I would consider taking a look at option 3 based on the history, her employment history, and also based on the great job that she's done over the past few years.
Mr. Arletta, you had a comment?
For Michael, did you say August 1st or August 31st on the contract? I thought it was August 1st.
First, yeah.
August
I
1st.
thought
I just want to make sure.
August 1st.
Okay. I thought I heard 31st. I just want to make sure it clarified.
August 1st is clarification.
Okay. Anyone else with a question or comment? Mr. Bowman?
Would the person be amenable to the part-time at first, just to, there's been some questions on how it might work out before we dive into the full-time. The full-time, if my numbers are correct, will save $3,981 a year. Well, not quite $3,981, but we'll save about $3,900 a year based on that. But there was some conversation about would we, how it would work out, and sometimes it's easier to, once a person is in and on full time, it's a little tougher to make certain moves. And I'm just asking, would that person be amenable to just for the time being, the part-time, in order to see if it's going to work out and if it's going to go to the direction that we would like for it to go, and then we can obviously always come back and look at it because it is a cost savings either way we go. I'm just bringing that up as a comment for the rest of the board. I'm not making a motion or anything. It's just a comment.
Would you be considering maybe a 60 or 90-day review period to see how it's working, or a 30-day?
I think a 90-day review period would be very substantial in order to take a look at it first of all and see, just exactly how much that you're able to do in that part-time position for that short period of time. And if it then at that point in time, we say, well, we need to move it forward. Then we can kind of move forward from there, and we haven't automatically just jumped in with, without having some idea. I mean, I know the person. I mean, I've seen her. She does a great job. She does a lot of work. I mean, she's here a lot when we come in, and she's always here during the day. So I'm not trying to dispel anything. It's just that this morning, I believe that Commissioner Preston was speaking on a part-time basis, and that's what we kind of thought that the direction we were going. We did ask for this, I know, but this is just a comment. This is, and I'm open for anybody else on the board to make one. I mean, with even in my business, we've got a 90-day look-see, at people that go to work for us before they go on any of our benefit programs or anything. So I'm just thinking out loud, basically. So,
Mr. Arletta?
Employees are hired on a one-year probation, so you wouldn't be able to create a second class with a 90-day probation so we'd be under that guidelines of it. The other option would be to do it, as I think's been talked about, as a temporary employee. And again, you're putting her in limbo at the same time, so however you address it. But as far as probation, it is a 1 year versus 90 days.
I appreciate that. I knew that public safety was, but I didn't know that was countywide policy. So thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Preston?
I mean, looking at this, my big, and this answers a lot of the questions, Michael, and I appreciate you putting this together, is because this morning there was a lot of question marks about really how this all played out. But now that we have this, I mean, the big thing is just doing the right thing, but also seeing a cost savings. So, the part-time works, but also option 3, which, that works as well because it still looks like a cost savings, because that relieved a lot of my concerns.
Well, thank you, because that's what you and I were speaking of earlier this morning, was trying to come up with that number. And in doing so, I mean, I don't have an issue after, thanks to the, county manager reminding me of that 1-year probation, I wouldn't have an issue with the full-time based on that, because it is a cost savings to the county over a 12-month period, so.
Of the evaluation period, we've had 8 years to evaluate, so we know what kind of employee we have, and it seems like there's a consensus that she's been pretty good across the board, so I'm not sure if we even have to look at an evaluation period at this point.
She's never been on the county's payroll directly. She's always worked for other companies, so she would have to be subject to the probationary period like any new hire would be. That could not be waived.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, you have before you 3 options, and I'll look for someone to make a motion.
3.
Okay, we have option number 3 as a motion, and a second by Mr. Bowman. All in favor? Okay, motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to move into our public hearing for the millage. Today's discussion is for the setting of the millage going into this, this next tax year, and the proposed millage will be 14.5. We did have several citizens who have signed up for public comment, and I will call you each up to the podium and ask you to give your brief remarks. I'm assuming they're brief, but and the first one is going to be Charles Downey, and Charles lives at 557 Heathermore Drive in McDonough. And if you would please step to the microphone. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman Mathis and fellow commissioners, and I want to thank you for holding this public hearing. It means a lot to us citizens. I'm here representing the 3rd District, Henry Community Coalition. I'm the membership secretary. Our president, Mike Eddy, couldn't be here tonight due to prior commitment. Needless to say, we would like the millage rate to be as low as possible. We recommend the Board of Commissioners revisit Commissioner Preston's 3-pronged proposal in balancing the budget and keeping the millage rate the same and in line with other counties. His proposal consisted of taking up to $4 million from surplus, modernizing employee benefits, reducing all department budgets by 3 to 5%, excluding public safety. We may be missing something, but we think his proposal makes sense to us, and we would appreciate you revisiting his proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Downey. The next citizen that signed up for public comment is Mr. Don Dunlap of 192 Ashley Drive in McDonough. Good evening, Mr. Dunlap.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. I'd like to speak just as a citizen. I'm just me. And in my perception, raising the millage rate does not appear to raise my tax burden at all. So I support raising the millage rate currently so that we can continue the services that we're providing based on this budget that you guys have come up with. The only caveat to that is when my property value goes up, I'm anticipating you guys lowering the millage rate so that we can keep this balanced. I think it's important that we have that $110 billion, and I think that we need to make sure that we don't cut the people that we really need to run this county. I think you guys have cut stuff down pretty much to the bone, and it will best serve us to increase the millage rate so that we can continue to pay the same dollar amount so that we can keep those services going, and then as the property values rise, that you guys will revisit that millage rate and determine when it's a good time to bring it down so that that same dollar rate of total revenue coming into the county stays what you need it to be. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The final citizen that has signed up this evening is Mr. Ralph Thomas of 672 South Bethany Road in Locust Grove.
If I
could, before Mr. Thomas speaks, in answer to the question or the question that Mr. Dunlap had about the reduction in millage, I would like to defer to the Finance Director, Mike Bush, and tell you that this has occurred before. We have reduced millage. We have raised millage. This is not a first time. Mike, would you respond to that?
Yes, sir. When, back in the 2002, 3, 4, and 5 years, when the market was good and everything was going good, the board had to, and on 2 different occasions, when the digest went up, to keep, if you had a $100,000 house in 2002 and a $100,000 house in 2003, they would have to drop the millage rate in 2003 to make the same money they did in 2002, so that's not a tax increase. And we've done that on 2 different occasions. So when our digest changes, they will have to come back and answer the question, are you going to, if you keep the millage the same, that's going to wind up being a tax increase unless you roll it back. And we have rolled it back 2 times since I've been here in 2002.
That's good.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Thomas.
Good evening. I can speak better than I can hear. Trust me, I live by hearing aids at home. If I face this way, I'm preaching to the choir, so I'm going to kind of turn this way. My reason for being here tonight is I became aware of the fact that there may not be many here who had the opportunity to serve on the Citizens Budget Review Committee. I received a call from my commissioner, and without knowing what my political affiliation was or anything else, he asked me if I'd be interested in serving on that committee. And then with further questioning, I realized that the reason he selected me was because I was old. He wanted a wide range of people to choose from, and at age 78, I guess he figured I'd fit in the senior citizen category. I attended 28 hours of meetings. I was spread over a 4-day period, listening to the representatives from the county talk about the budget shortfall and how we were going to deal with it. I came to those meetings initially as a skeptic, like perhaps some of you are, and I am always skeptical of anybody who wants to raise taxes. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction, for me anyway, tainted by what I see happening in the federal government, so I'm naturally suspicious. But during those 28 hours, I didn't even take a bathroom break. I heard everything that was said, pro and con. And what impressed me more than anything else was the fact that all the questions that the 20-some members that were appointed to serve on this committee, unpaid by the way, that were appointed to serve on this committee, not a single question was avoided, not a single question went unanswered. If the answer was not available then, at the very next meeting, that particular topic was addressed. I have no way of knowing, of course, what happens behind the scenes. But I did come to this conclusion, that even though property taxes have decreased, income has gone down as a result of that, a growing population, that something's got to change. And after the 28 hours of listening, we held a straw poll to determine how these 20-some citizens felt about the issue of raising the millage rate. And the result was that there was an overwhelming majority who heard all the information on both sides, agreed that it was the only possible solution to the problem. I don't like it, but a lot of things I don't like in life, but I have to deal with them. And so I'm simply saying that as one of the citizens of this county, I don't want to see my millage rate go up. But we're a growing county, we've got a good lifestyle in this county, and I don't see any other solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. We appreciate your comments. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
If I could add one other statement from what Commissioner Holder had said, where I was saying when the digest goes up, you have to roll the millage rate back to not call it a tax increase. The same token probably needs to be discussed about the last 3 years where we've had a loss of digest of close to 40%. As if your digest goes down, you're allowed to roll the millage, adjust the millage rate up to collect the same amount of taxes, and it's not a tax increase. And for the last 3 years that's been possible, you did not do it. You left it right where it was and kept the millage where it was.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Holder?
If I could ask Mike a question also, and I've seen the number, I don't remember what it was, but what was the amount of increase in millage that we could have raised it this year without having to have these hearings, and it would have gone up without requiring hearings because it would not be a tax increase?
I think it's 1.845 mils.
1.845?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I knew it was substantial because of the decline in the digest. I didn't remember the number. Okay.
Thank you. And anyone else that signed up for public comment? No. Is there anyone else? I'm going to go ahead and ask if there is anyone else that did not sign up for public comment but would like to before I close the meeting. All right. Just to make an announcement, the next public hearing will be held on August the 1st at 9 a.m., and then following that at 10 a.m. we have a board meeting at which time we will vote on the millage rate for the upcoming tax year. If there's no further business to come before the board this evening, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Holmes and second by Mr. Preston. All in favor. Motion carries 4-0. We stand adjourned.